Hello and welcome back. Thank you for joining me. And I know that a number of you have recently subscribed to this channel. So welcome, welcome. What you'll get here is A Course in Miracles. Just that. So if you're new to this course, it is a self-study curriculum. My role as a teacher is to simply remind you of many different things. It's all, in fact, the same message that takes many different forms. And yes, this 1,000-page plus document in 3 major component parts plus 2 supplements does say the same thing over and over and over again in different words. And we need that as adult learners, because it could be that the 1,000th time that you hear a message, you get it. And when that happens, and it will happen if it has not happened yet, that is a beautiful thing. If you've had that kind of moment, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So wherever you are from, again, welcome. These videos you will find are for all different experience levels. One does not need to have had 30 plus years experience studying this course in order to derive the exact benefit that you're meant to get out of each and every conversation. There's something that I'm going to say, and it's entirely possible that I've already said it. There's something in every conversation that we're specifically meant to hear. When you hear that and you know that that is the message for you, know that it is the voice of your inner teacher speaking to you, and you would do very well indeed to pay attention, to listen, and to do as your inner teacher instructs. The inner teacher is known by many names. One of those is the Holy Spirit. And in this particular section of the text that we're looking at today, Comforter with a capital C. We're on chapter 11, section 3 of the text of A Course in Miracles, which is entitled beautifully, From Darkness to Light. That's our journey from darkness to light. And it only actually appears to be a journey because we've never left the light. We've never left God. Ideas leave not their source. You've likely heard that multiple times on these videos. And if this is the first time, ideas leave not their source. You are an idea. We don't really think of ourselves that way in daily life, do we? We think we're a human body, which we are not. And that is one of the ideas here in A Course in Miracles that gets repeated over and over and over and over again. You're not a body. And you actually deep down know this, or you wouldn't be here watching this video. There is no way you would be drawn to and interested in this message from your inner teacher. Not a chance, right? You would not be ready for that, but you are ready. So this is not who we are. It's not the Son of God. We're told here that when we're weary, when we're stressed out, tired, maxed out, burned out, and overwhelmed, even though we may wear that as a societal badge of honor here in 21st century life, where for whatever sick reason, it's cool to be overwhelmed. How is that actually cool? Ask yourself, right? Wherever you happen to live, we live in a very fast-paced world where people are invited and encouraged to do, always be doing something, always be producing something. And we are made to feel extraordinarily guilty when we take even a 5-minute break from that. It's a breakneck pace. And for those of you who don't know, I live in the United States. So I would know about stress as a cultural badge of honor. It's something that I just invite you to consider. When you're weary, when any of us is weary, it's because we've hurt ourselves. And our comforter, the Holy Spirit, comforter capital C, will help rest us. We don't know how, so we appeal to our inner teacher for help, for comfort, in this case, for guidance. Because we don't know how to do it on our own. We try to do more stuff in the world. We simply take one thing that we were working on, drop it, and substitute that for another thing that we start working on. And we don't know how to bring ourselves the comfort and rest that we so desire and need. But our inner teacher does know. Now, the Holy Spirit is part of our mind. It is not a separate being. It's not some separate identity or thing. And there is, in fact, no separate identity or thing. There is no separation of any kind. The Holy Spirit is part of our mind, that part that speaks for God. It's known by many names here in A Course in Miracles. One of those, perhaps the most common, is the voice for God, this part of our mind that speaks for the truth of who we are. Doing that verbal math, that speaks for God, i.e., who we are. The Holy Spirit will comfort and guide and help you if you let it, and we're invited to let it. That invitation goes out to all of us 24 hours a day. The question, do we choose to listen? Suffering, hurting ourselves, is not God's will for us. Let's just be very, very clear about that. God doesn't do conflict, title of this video. He doesn't. God is very calm. There is no conflict at all. God doesn't do conflict. So he does not play favorites. He does not decide that he likes one person more than another and give them all of the favor in the world and tons of worldly pleasures and cool stuff while you suffer or your neighbor suffers. There is no division. There's no separation. There is, in fact, no conflict. There is no separate other with whom to do battle. There is no separate other to fight. All perceived fights are going on in our mind. Once we allow ourselves to recognize this, we will be, ideally, hopefully, much more set and ready to accept the remedy, to accept healing. In our mind, healing is of the mind. God doesn't do conflict. We don't have to either. So you could choose right now, today, to set it aside. And I certainly hope that you do. We're told here in paragraph 3 that if we even knew God's will for us, our joy would be complete and our hearts would be so bursting with joy that our mind would leap into heaven. Awakening. If we really truly knew God's will for us, we would be so overjoyed that we would leap into heaven, and this shabby spinning ball of rock would vanish. You heard that right. You may have heard on your spiritual path, on your journey, whatever your walk, whatever it is you choose to call it, you may have heard that all of this is a dream. A Course in Miracles is by no means the only spiritual tradition extant in this world to posit that everything that we see with the body's eyes and touch with the body's sensory organs, with our hands, with our skin, everything is a dream. All of this world is, in fact, a dream. The physical body is a dream. The illusion of separation is a dream. It's an illusion. The world, the spinning ball of rock, orbiting a nuclear reaction that we call a star, a dream, all of it. You may have heard this, and when you remember in the course of your daily life, it's always helpful to remind yourself that this is a dream. And it is. If you don't believe it, that's all right. You don't have to believe a single word that appears to be coming out of my mouth. You don't have to believe this course or anything like that. Yet here you are. You'll know when you hear the message that is specifically designed for you. You're here. And we all know there's a whole lot of other content out there. That's an understatement. So if we really knew what God's will for us really was, our joy would not be contained. We would simply say, God's will is mine, and we would leap into heaven. So Jesus tells us that he can't describe to us in words what that will be like. It is an experience beyond words. It's beyond all of our concepts that we have here in the world. It's beyond all of that. God can simply be known. In other words, experienced. It's an experience beyond all of our concepts. So he can't describe to us in our symbology, our symbols of language, and it is a symbol after all. I mean, what is any language but a collection of sounds that we've gotten together and agreed are going to symbolize or stand for certain things? It's symbolic. Our experience of knowing God is beyond language. So, of course, Jesus can't describe this experience to us. No one can in words. It's not possible to describe in words. What he or any teacher, what I can do, is simply to remind you of who you are. That's what he can do, is remind us that what God wills for himself, he wills for us. God's will for you is joy, boundless joy, and perfect happiness. And what he wills is done. It's already done. It's yours. You have only to accept it, to allow it, to accept healing, to accept that God's will is yours. It's already done. This is a very big reason why there are spiritual traditions and practices that talk about the importance of allowing. We've already been given everything that there is. Ours is simply to accept it. When we think that we're an ego, when we think that we're a separate individual, and there appear to be 8 billion plus of these separate individuals running around, not to mention countless other life forms that appear to share spinning ball of rock with us. It certainly appears that there's multiplicity, but it's a dream. Any separation is illusion. Only God is. God is truth. God is reality. Also, God is one with you. There is no separation of any kind. This, of course, does not mean that this thing is God. It's nothing. This is an illusion. The physical body is an illusion. So is your job an illusion. Now, I invite you to go to it today and make money, because we need to use this thing as a communication device, which works better if we've paid the rent or the mortgage, doesn't it? It works better if we want to pay attention to our physical health. If you do, go to the gym. Right? We appear to carry on what looks like normal life here in the world, but you don't have to believe it's real for one single second, because it's not. So what are we doing here? We're healing the mind. We use this the way I'm using it right now. This looks like a physical body talking to you. It is not. Actually, it's a pixelated image on your screen. You're watching this on a device, and it's some kind of assemblage of light and dots that's generated and reproduced by a computer. I have absolutely no idea how that works, but the Holy Spirit is using it to reach you. So please allow it. That's what's going on here and in every video. And it's going on every time you watch someone else, because there are many different spiritual teachers and different traditions in this world. It's what's going on anytime you read a book or an article online about spirituality. Your inner teacher is speaking to you. He does this in many, many different ways. It's part of your mind. So we're all invited to listen. And let's just wrap this discussion up today, reinforcing the title track. God doesn't do conflict. You may have been raised, and I certainly was raised, in not one but two fundamental Christian traditions, fundamentalist Christian traditions, that each posited that their version of truth was the only version of truth, and that people across the street were wrong. There is no separation of any kind, remember, and truth is unitary. It's one, it's whole and complete, just as it is. You may have been taught that God is jealous or vindictive or plays favorites. Impossible. If you've always felt that, yeah, that is in fact not possible. There's no conflict because there's no separate other with whom to conflict. So, what is this? It's peace, it's joy, it's limitlessness. God is all of those things. And he is very quiet. There is no conflict. When we experience it, count on the fact that we've made it ourselves. It may appear to find you. Sometimes it looks that way. It's in our mind. Let's simply learn here on the path to relax and trust in the guidance of our inner teacher and know that God does not do conflict or jealousy or vindictiveness. We do that to ourselves here in the world, which is a dream from which you're waking up. Thank you, as always, for tuning in and for joining me. All right, so a couple of quick comments here. Questions are always welcome here. If you have a question or a comment, or if you would simply like to drop in and say hello, you're more than welcome to do that. I will happily answer questions here on the comment thread on YouTube, and we've had many, many wonderful discussions here. So whether it's this particular course or spirituality in general, that's a perfect question for this channel. Also, if you have not subscribed, please do so. The subscription arrow is here. Just click or hover on that, and you'll be prompted to join us. Several videos appear each week, and I want to especially thank all of you who have subscribed recently, including a number of you in the past 24 hours. Thank you for joining us here. If you've got questions, that is what I'm here for. So thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you soon.